Very good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Full View tonight.
Good evening, Lisa, and good evening to our viewers at home.
I think looking at the ongoing issues at the state-owned entity and the workers that have been disgruntled, I wonder if you could give us the SACP stance to date. Why join in on the march this weekend?
This was very important. The people of Soweto in particular have been suffering over the past few months, in fact, in some areas, several years, without receiving appropriate electricity services. And our structures, as well as we have seen, came out in their numbers to join this march organized by the NUM, which was quite timely to respond to the current situation that we face as a country. We are supporting this march in order to rebuild Eskom, not to destroy it, to create its ability to service our country, to have electricity uninterrupted in order to rebuild our economy, because we can't build this economy on a wrong foundation with interrupted energy services. And therefore, it was in this regard that we came out in our numbers to join this important march, of course, to defend public-owned enterprises, because Eskom has been one of those state-owned entities that has been functioning very well. Now it's been destroyed, and we reject that because this destruction of Eskom, it's laying a very firm foundation to justify why it should be privatized quite soon, when actually there's no basis to do so.
Sally, I wonder, have you engaged with your alliance partners, the ANC? I mean, what's their response been in response to your engagement?
The matter of Eskom, as you know, has been on the table for quite some time. Yep. We have changed boards, we have changed managements, and so forth. But the bottom line is the focus of the government, whether government is prepared to retain public-owned economies and to build public-owned capacity. And in this case, we have seen some doubts in this regard, because the boards that have been coming in and the management teams that have been coming in, instead of consolidating this capacity, they've actually been relying overly on the private sector, and therefore justifying the necessity for the path that they are now following, which is a path to destroy Eskom. This is the path that we are rejecting. We are saying whatever interventions are made at Eskom should be within public ownership model, because private ownership model, at best in this country, it has shown to only serve the interests of a few, not the interests of the majority. And with the capacity that we have in Eskom, we think we can turn things around, have a proper commitment. For instance, we have seen wanton destruction of power stations in different towns, therefore even killing the economies in those towns, creating what people characterize as ghost towns, without commitment to rebuild capacity there. So we say if we follow that particular path and only look at the option that is private-based, particularly regarding renewables coming only from the private sector, we're saying Eskom itself must create capacity to participate in the renewable energy sector so that the transition can be just and it can be driven internally by Eskom as a public utility.
Well, there's also the issue of leadership and consequence management that has come to the fore. I mean, many also asking for Andre de Ruyter to resign. I mean, what do you make of these sentiments?
Look, like I said, we've changed many boards as well as management teams. Without any change of the direction that Eskom is taking. For us, it's not much about the individuals. The focus is whether the team that is there is able to turn around Eskom without selling it to private capital. That's our main task, to defend capacity of the state-owned sector. And if the rate has
All right, I seem to have some transmission issues. Sally Mapaila, First Deputy Secretary of the South African Communist Party, just updating us on the march of going standing in solidarity with NUM. Sally, I believe you're back. Do you want to just continue with the point you were making there with regards to issues of leadership and consequence management? I wanted to know what your sentiments are regarding, the resignation of Andre de Ruyter by some.
We were saying that the main focus for us is the commitment to turn around Eskom and not to give it to private sector. But we're saying if the Directors and his board are committed to building capacity of Eskom within the public sector model, they need to do so. They need to do so speedily, because, like I said, we have changed boards, we have changed management, but for as long as they follow the neoliberal character of economic dispensation, that only think that private sector capital is the only one that can turn things around, when it has shown its disability in this country over the years. It has failed. For instance, we privatized many SOEs as a country. The economy went down, jobs were lost, they were not able to recover those jobs. We can't continue on that path again. That is why we are focusing on the program, not on individuals.
Mapaila, First Deputy Secretary of South African Communist Party.